Hey guys, this is the Ekran Writer here, welcoming you to a one-shot from the Sleepy Hollow series. This one actually happens to be a very unusual one at that, as this is actually known as a Jossed fic, which means I came up with this idea since the middle of Season 2, and I kind of forgotten what Ichabod's parents were like, so I just kind of made like a miniature crossover with the Sleepy Hollow movie. You know, the Tim Burton classic. And I wanted to splurge two and two together because, well, at least Ichabod's parents were seen in that movie than in the series. Until much later when I got the box set and I realized that Ichabod's father was actually seen, but not until the end of Season 1. So I kind of screwed up with this idea, and hence this became a Jossed fic. This is known as a Crane's Bane, and I'll explain what this cover art represents. But for now, let's get to the story. And since Halloween is coming up, there's no better time than now. Alright, a Crane's Bane. I've kept this story for quite a while, and I was very hesitant on writing this. Long story short, this is one of those ideas that were, as TV tropes put it, Jossed. This was supposed to tell the story revolving around Ichabod's parents by using material from the 1999 film, which I've mentioned. Unfortunately, it became an outdated fic since little did I know that his dad was a member of Parliament. He was named Thomas Crane, who rejected his son after he joined the Continental Army, and Ichabod would have been affected by the Liberty Bell if he actually had parents that possessed magical skills. So, for a while, it was in the back burner since Season 2 until now. So, here goes the humiliation here. Don't take any of the intel to heart. And I would recommend to see Witnesses of Sleepy Hollow, at least the beginning, in the Legends of the Multi-Universe wiki. So, here goes. This all started from a series of night terrors that plagued Ichabod. He remembered his early childhood when he was 7 and still living in Britain. Back in 1758, he adored his mom, Celeste, who was a Wiccan. She was always looked upon by her former estranged husband, Vladimir. He's a soul seeker. He was once a preacher, but he was also a tyrant, has a dark complexion, and was obsessed on getting rid of those who challenged his religious beliefs and authority, particularly witchcraft. When he found out that Celeste had a son, he was searching for her and would eventually kill her. He was even described by Celeste herself as a walking nightmare. These dreams were in a series of events on how he'd done it. They had to relocate to many different places, and Ichabod saw him appear abruptly in front of him with his leering stare. When Ichabod woke up, startled, there was a call from Abby. He picked it up after a few more rings. Crane, I just found out something from the sheriff's department. What is it, Lieutenant? There's an abandoned church in the far north of Sleepy Hollow, but this isn't St. Parish's church. It was under renovation, but something kept scaring people away. They say it's haunted and it's over 180 years old. So of course it's up to us to investigate. And its name is actually St. Vlad's. That triggered one of Ichabod's suppressed memories. St. Vlad's. Crane? Are you still there? He immediately recovered. Yes, Lieutenant. I'll be there. All right, I'll meet you. He hung up before she completed her sentence. She was driving a minivan with Gavin at the passenger seat. What's wrong? Crane seems to be a bit preoccupied. I hope he's ready. After about 30 minutes, they picked him up and arrived at their destination. This is it? Yes, this is it. Vlad's church. He used to own this place over 180 years ago. The Blanche settlement was standing on a hill, and its walls seemed to have blended in with the overcast sky. If its large red door, black steeple, and patches of peel-off didn't make it stand out. The paint was indeed falling off as the church had been exposed to the elements for far too long. This place is no better than an old shaft. Look at this dump. They could have bulldozed the place if they had to. Unfortunately, it's wrong and sinful to do so. He must have preserved this place for a reason. And that's why we're here. Let's go. They decided Abby would take the front, Gavin next, and Ichabod, who seemed to be distracted with his findings. Along the way, he noticed some strange markings on the old moldy walls, including a swirl being surrounded by sparkling stars. Through a closer examination, he noticed it was a symbol that his mom made when he was very young, along with finding a cardinal etching, and even an archer. He had some flashbacks of his mom dancing with him in a flowery woods, then she soared through the air. Then he was laying in his bed during a powerful thunderstorm, as Celeste tried to calm him with a cardinal in a cage spinning as one. Then he suddenly heard his name in a melodic tone. This place certainly needs repairs. Ah! The ceiling's leaking! His face wrinkled as a drop suddenly landed on his scalp, then looked at his palm. Whew, smells like a bayou! He held his nose in disgust. Stay sharp. They say it's haunted. The sensations weren't affecting her at all, as her mind remained as sharp as a steel trap. Gavin looked around anxiously. I don't see anything yet, and... Hey, where's Ichabod? He's not here. He's gone. Where is he? Shh. Do you hear that? Hear what? There's moaning behind that door. It sounded like a chorus of sorts as they glanced toward a door located to their right that gave Gavin the jitters. Maybe there are zombies here. That would scare away some people. We don't know for sure. Come on, I'll go first. Abby proceeded with the tyro close behind her. The door opened with a screech as it dragged on its rusty hinges. They beheld a darker room filled with people sitting on the dusty wooden benches. Freeze! Turn and face us! She exclaimed with her Glock drawn. They found a tall, dark preacher giving a sermon. The crowd, who turned out to be zombies, were intrigued. Apparently, they rose from the cemetery nearby just waiting for their next meal. Who is he? The ominous man chuckled. My, aren't you the spiteful ones? I wouldn't be too hasty if I were you. Don't you know? I happen to be the Reverend and the owner of this place, Vladimir Crane. The grotesque group stood up to them. Then the priest ordered the undead to attack. Ichabod. The entracing call led the Freemason to a secret room beneath the olive tile floor, filled with candles, engravings, the works. It seemed to be quite warm in that orange illuminating chamber. As he was slowly treading on the squeaky staircase, a mysterious woman with shoulder-length brown hair turned, and he noticed she was his deceased mom, Celeste Crane. She came back to life with her full skin texture and shiny opaque eyes. He stuttered in shock and disbelief. Mother, you're alive! But how? Have you been resurrected? Did you escape from purgatory? She raised her index finger, laid it on her quivering lips. Shh. Calm yourself, my son. I've been waiting for you all this time. His heart was racing as it hammered to his upper chest. But you've been slew by my father. Please, you must come with me at once. We can leave this place. I can help you. She sulked and shook her head. No, I cannot. I must not. I am safe here. There are zombies everywhere! Aim for their heads! The duo fought the advancing army off, spewing their black blood and guts as they severed their heads. The Glock and the Purgatory sword were ideal for rendering the Legion hapless. The main chamber eventually quieted, and they noticed the preacher leading them was gone. Gavin came over to his partner. Abby, are you all right? Yeah, thanks, Gavin. How do we expect to find Ichabod here? This place is ruled by his own father. I'll look inside. You look out. I'm sure we'll momentarily find him. He's gotta be somewhere. Right. They split up and searched the premises, but to no avail. Ichabod! Are you there? Gavin even looked through the boneyard itself, wondering if he was hiding behind a tombstone or if he was dragged down by any of the undead. He soon came back empty-handed while Abby was looking through the interior. He's not here. Where could he be? For once she was stuck in a rut. Wait, Gavin, look. Something caught her wandering vision. There's light between the floorboards. There must be a secret room down here. Sure enough, there was an orange-yellow glow flickering between a few loose squares, hardly seen to the casual eye. Ichabod's there? Only one way to be sure. Let's move them. They tried as they might, but they couldn't move the pieces an inch. It was almost like they were being magnetized to the ground floor. Ugh, we can't move them. His fingers grew weary from those stubborn squares. While the team was bashing through draugrs and desperately searching for their hero, he explained everything to what his mom never knew about. After several exhausting minutes, he finally concluded. And that's why you must leave, Mother. We're in the midst of an apocalyptic war. It's not safe here. You have to go with us. Please. The woman looked up and into his desperate eyes. All right, my son. I trust you. The resonating voice put him in immediate ease. She then marched up to him and laid a hand on his left thigh. I promise. I'll be by your side. Now and forever. During the embrace, she revealed a deformed hand. The warmth and comfort were just too mesmerizing, and he couldn't let her go. Suddenly, the ceiling began to creak above them, and a thin layer of dust rained. Lieutenant? They noticed the light between the floorboards ignited. Then Celeste hissed, showing her fangs. Her face transformed into a bluish dead one. Then she bit his left arm and drained his life force as his muffled cry called Abby. Crane! They won't budge! Gavin, get something to break them! Hurry! He obliged. Then a few minutes later he turned with, A crucifix? Hey, it was the closest thing I can find. It'll have to do. With the blunt end she broke open the floor, quickly descended the old stairs. Then she shot the fake Celeste. Her body burst and fell into a heap much like the other unfortunate souls before her. Abby hurriedly rushed toward his side, though she was too late as he saw his pallid face. She began to shake his arms, attempting to awaken him. Crane! Crane! What happened to him? That zombie must have drained most of his energy. We must carry him out. Okay, I got his arm. Together they each took an arm and carried them over their backs as they lifted him up. Several minutes later, the trio were inside the cabin in Trout Lake. It was an excruciating task as they carried in the unconscious Brit, laid him on the nearby bed. I hope Ichabod will come too. His voice weak against his tight throat. He never laid off his eyes on him for a second. I'm sure he will, Abby said in a more composed manner. She was also typing vigorously on a computer. But look at this. A headline showed up on the white screen. She paraphrased the details. Lord Vladimir Crane is his father. He fled to Sleepy Hollow just after the colonial wars. That's when he took over that church by force. No one was sure what happened. The former preacher was killed by the only suspected it was an act of war, and Vlad wasn't held responsible. She shifted to another webpage. And take a look at this. He had an estranged wife named Celeste. She was a housewife. It said she fled with her son, but he eventually found them. She later was killed while he suspected her of witchcraft, but there wasn't any proof. That's when he had disappeared. No one was sure what happened to Crane, other than he escaped to an orphanage. Gavin was in deep thought. Celeste. She's almost like Katrina, although I hope she raised her son better. He He certainly didn't want him to have the same upbringing as Henry did. Shh, it's Crane. He's dreaming. Both looked over and saw his face quaking and his eyes fluttering. There were a few cries from him while his head moved and his breathing became shallow. Vlad had spoken into his mind during a dark, rainy night through a drenched window. I finally found you. Suddenly he rose up like a jack-in-a-box, though Abby was the first to come to his aid. Crane, it's okay. It was only a dream. Soon enough, his heart slowed its pacing and his vision became clearer, then saw a familiar face before him. Lieutenant. What is it? What is it that you dreamt? He regathered his thoughts and spoke quickly, describing his horrific experience. I tried to save her. My father was too overpowering. He killed my mother because he caught her using magic. She was a child of nature, a Wiccan, much like Katrina. In order to save herself and she hid her forbidden abilities. They've concluded that Moloch brought Vlad to that church, the one he owned after he left Britain when he killed Celeste. Ichabod remembered his parents. His father at first took Celeste in because of her hidden abilities, and he loved her. I was so enthralled with her talents, always comforted by her in every way. They were never meant for harm, but Vlad suspected or caused she was hiding from him. He wanted to execute her and take me in for himself. We were in hiding for many years. I took her necklace and always wore it, and hid it from him. I was 7 when I lost her and my faith. Took it out, and the charm shines within the dim light. It was known as a triquetra, also known as the Holy Trinity in Christianity, or some form of unity in Celtic, Norse, or Druidic cultures. Crane, we know losing a mother at a young age is never easy, and I'm sorry for your loss. It must be from the earthquake in Purgatory, Lieutenant. Vlad has returned. Later that night, Abby and Gavin left Ichabod to sleep more peacefully. Lo and behold, his slumber was disturbed by an ominous, vehement laugh. Then spoken in a rousing manner. Rise up, my son. Rise up. No, you're not dreaming. I'm speaking to you, telepathically. Recognizing the voice, Ichabod sat up. Vlad? Where are you? Show yourself! Never taken aback, he replied. Calm yourself, my son. I'm within your mind, Ichabod. At last, I found you. What do you want from me? Relax. I'm not here to slay you. I'm here because we have so much catching up to do, you and I. It's been far too long since Celeste kept you away from me. You killed? You killed her. I will never get caught up with you. Vladimir's reply was more subtle. You haven't a choice, Ichabod. We have the same blood, like father, like son. Began to delve deeper into his mind. You've once wanted a family. How you wanted one that Katrina and Celeste failed to provide. Opening past wounds and literally causing an excruciating headache, Ichabod held it and tried to block out his enticing words. Stop! Stop talking to me! Shh. Settle down. We can make things right again. I will reunite you with your lost family. You, Katrina, Jeremy, and even Abraham. I've escaped from the underworld looking for you, and I can do the same with the bonds you've lost. And your best friend is waiting for your destiny as a witness and destroyer. Just then Ichabod's throbbing started to subside. As Vlad kept giving him encouragement, his words were becoming more and more irresistible. But first, you must fulfill a task to slay your cohorts. They will only interfere We are the two witnesses and destroyers, and I shall grant it. His son was beginning to feel lightheaded and more submissive. He then went on. When they leave for the church, you shall slay them. Upon the words of destruction, his thirst increased and his fists clenched. Art thou prepared? Ichabod's eyes gleamed in dead irises as he spoke more deeply. Yes, I am, father. Vlad had finally poisoned his mind, then he got possessed. The next day, Abby gave her team instructions. We'll head back to the basement. There may be some clues concerning Vlad and his curse over the place. We have to find a way to reverse it somehow. It's gotta be beneath the tile floor. Her partner looked out of it. Crane? Are you alright? Yes, Lieutenant. We shall stop him. They searched the church for Vlad as they entered the same location where the pseudo-Celeste ambushed them. Ichabod was tagging further behind. Gavin spotted a large object shrouded in black lying across the floor. Abby? Is that a casket? It must be his. Abby took out a crowbar and jiggled it underneath the lid. Gavin fidgeted with the locks. It's locked! We gotta open it! His partner helped him out while Ichabod just stood there, not moving an inch. Now's your chance, Ichabod. Do it now! By obedience, his face glimmered again as he drew out a small dagger from his coat pocket. The duo finally got the ancient lid removed, revealing a bloody red carpeting. There's nothing in there, Gavin said despite the thud making a cloud of dust. All of a sudden, thanks to the effect of the dim candlelight, he saw a shadow of a broad man raising an arm and holding a knife. Look out! The newbie tackled Abby aside just seconds before the possessed murderer made his mark. To his horror, he was nothing other than Ichabod? His eyes brightened their deadly shade and bore his teeth, holding the hilt very tightly. Crane! What are you doing? Fulfilling my father's wishes, Lieutenant. To defeat both of you, so I could reunite with my long-lost family again, and follow my destiny as a witness. Gavin realized he desired to eliminate both him and Abby out of the equation. What? It's Vlad! He's taken over his mind! Crane, this is what he wants, not you! This isn't who you are! This is who I am, Lieutenant! And my father knows this! Your ancestors attempted to reach the same end. They all failed, and so should you! He rose the dagger again, but Gavin held his arm back. No, Ichabod! I won't let you do this! He dropped his arms away from his grasp. You dare to challenge me, Gavin? So be it! Courageous blonde drew out his purgatory sword and braced himself from Ichabod's direct onslaughts. The wig's might was so much more quicker and stronger than his. Nevertheless, he alternated with every swipe, dodge, and block as he dealt with Ichabod's possessiveness. Gavin eventually became out of breath. Then his betraying mentor saw an opening and cut his arm with one swift move. Ah! Gavin! His arm was left with a huge bloody gash. All he did was clutch the wound, completely shocked of his actions. With blood inside his mind, Ichabod never backed down. Say your last prayer! You shall perish! Driving in and raising the dagger once more. No! As he was about to kill him, an Onondaga threw in a flash bomb. Ichabod, despite the dark influence, coughed from the thin smoke emitting from it. Don't breathe, Ruby Crow. Don't. It'll put you to sleep. Sure enough, after a few minutes of wheezing, Ichabod succumbed to the effects, making him feel dazed and sleepy. He soon collapsed in a heap. Other tribesmen didn't hesitate to gather around him. We'll take him to the village. We have relocated here as soon as our chieftain broke the news. Here, conceal the wound. Gave Abby a damp cloth soaked in clean warm water. She wrapped it around Gavin's gash and applied pressure to hold the bleeding. Here, take this. Gavin took the rag and she provided aid. I'm sorry, Abby. I'm just shaken up. He almost tried to kill me. I know, but remember, it's Vlad we're dealing with, not Crane. He swayed over his mind. We'll get him back. Don't worry. I hope so. Vlad vanished above them after he made another snicker. Night fell all over the wilderness, and inside the large center tent Ichabod came around, though his limbs were strapped. A small bonfire was blazing at the middle. Lieutenant? Where are we? We're in Tergado's teepee. His people relocated to Sleepy Hollow so they could help us when we needed them. And it looks like we do. Soren Crane, you've awoken. Chieftain! Saw him walk up and explain everything. No time for greetings. You've been possessed by a dark spirit. Your old man, Vlad. Through your mind. He's been hailing from the spirit world when Moloch died. Every spirit needs a vessel, and he's using you. And as a shaman, I will separate the two of you through an exorcism. Soren Crane was in utter shock, and so was Gavin overhearing it. Tergado knew who he was dealing with. Through Ichabod's mind, he became a fugitive from purgatory. Time sent him through. As a shaman, Tergado figured the only ways to exorcise him. It's painful, but he must focus on his heart, necklace, and memories of his mom also in purgatory. I sympathize, Soren Crane, but it must be done. At the right time, he'll be released from you. Focus on your mother's memories, for comfort. And this, keep it close to your heart. Be prepared, brave one. They're very serious about this. I'm scared, Lieutenant. So am I. But it's the only way. How would we deal with him if he does escape again? Suddenly there was a flicker within the fire, and there was a brief vision of Vlad glaring at him. We must begin the ritual. Vlad is coming! While Tergado drew Vlad out, he resisted, then Ichabod forced him out with all his strength. After a whisper in his mind, he gave a final push. Do not give up. Finish it, Ichabod! He screamed at the top of his lungs. Help me, please! Ah! After a few seconds of pure agony, both his body and mind shut down. Crane! Oh my gosh! He killed him! After checking his vitals, she concluded. No, he just fainted. He's in purgatory, imprisoned with his mother. Gavin had an epiphany. Then that means I am now free thanks to my son. The group was horrified by his presence, his translucent spirit hovering over the flames. What have you done to him? Ah, the second witness speaks out. His body is no more than an empty vessel. Now his soul shall forever be mine. He locked and incapacitated them with his telekinetic abilities, pinning them to the deerskin walls. Just a small testament from Moloch. Struggle all you desire. The hold is far too strong for you, and your pathetic weapons are no match for me. But rather, they are certainly a match for you. With a few swipes of his hands, he moved the purgatory sword, Abby's Glock, and Tergado's bow and arrow, pointing toward the terrified trio. Is there anything we can do? No. It's only up to Soren Crane and his mother now. He braced for the worst. Ichabod, noticed he wound up with Celeste as soon as he heard her familiar voice. Come to, Ichabod, my son. It is me. His eyes cleared up within a few moments. As soon as he noticed they were in a cave and being surrounded by candles, he then saw her. Mother, I've really missed you. Yes, so have I. She broke off and wore a more serious demeanor as she laid her hands on her shoulders. but we have no time for a family reunion. Vlad has finally broken free, and your friends are in grave danger. Through the flames at the center cauldron, he saw them helplessly struggling against Vlad's hold. Is there any way we could help them? Yes, I've been waiting for you. Both you and I are the only ones who can put an end to him for good. You have my necklace you've retrieved after I died, and ended up here. This is an emblem of our everlasting love, a light against Vlad's evil. It shows a bloodline that's closer to mine as opposed to his. Our lineage along with this charm can help us win against him. He then saw his friends cornered with their weapons. We must act post-haste, but we cannot let us act rashly. Oh, we must act post-haste, but we cannot let us act rashly. Only the two of us can defeat Vlad. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Your mind is ready, but it be sound. Do you remember the incantations I taught you when you were just a boy? He shook his head in disappointment after he hesitated. No, I believe I haven't. Then, you must follow my lead. Hold on to my words. Now, our spirits must unite as one single entity. Close your eyes. Still your mind. Feel the mighty depth of my heart, my breathing, my essence. Our hearts, Ichabod, are in unison. Concentrate. Vlad continued to snarl at them. Your eyes are still free. Now gaze upon the face of death. Just then everyone heard some strange tongues whispering in the wind. Gavin was the first to speak. What's that? Is that Crane? Celeste and Ichabod? No! How is this possible? No! What is this? Vlad faltered as he held his head, trying to block out the irritating spell. The cranes held hands and chanted in unison, louder and stronger than before. Dragato heard them, then joined in with Abby and Gavin as they repeated the phrases. Vlad began to weaken. Vlad began to weaken greatly, then disintegrated as he screamed. They ended the ritual as soon as they saw Vlad fade away. Their hands parted. It is done. Vlad has been vanquished. She looked up and grinned. You've done well, my son, and you've grown strong. How changed from what he once was. Thank you for saving my spirit from this imprisonment. And with Vlad finally away, I must depart. Just like that, Celeste began to purify. You're leaving? Ichabod couldn't believe what was happening. I must. It's time. His throat tightened as he implored her to stay. Mother! No! I cannot lose you again. You mustn't go. Please stay with me. Ichabod, I'll always be with you. No matter what. I'll always be in your heart. I've been watching over you for so long, even when you slept for 232 years. I always had when Vlad was working with Moloch, looking for you. But you have a blessed line, and you must never give up on Abby. You'll succeed as witnesses, and soon you'll find the answers you need. You are the only surviving Crane. Do not let your legacy fade. Return to your friends. This isn't goodbye, as I'm within your heart. Broke up with a hoarse breath. Then noticed his partner leaning over him. Lieutenant. Welcome back. Ichabod, you're all right. Gavin came over and hugged him. His arm was still throbbing with the large cloth on, though it was healing faster since Vlad was no more. Not quite. Dragato came up to him as he loosened the straps. Soren Crane? Your mother is ascending. I can guide her to the Great Spirit aloft. It'd be an honor if you'd escort her and assist me. Would you do this? I shall help her rest. Gavin, why don't you wait outside with your earplugs? I got my iPod instead, showing her the red one. Even in battle, he still couldn't leave without it. Okay, we'll be done in a minute. Okay, good luck, Ichabod. He headed out. The Freemason gave him a thumb up. Thank you, Gavin. And about what happened, Soren Crane, we're ready, Trigato said as he gazed into the fire once more. I'll keep an eye for Celeste. Thanks, Lieutenant. All right, later, guys. He exited the tent. Ichabod went to Dragato's side. I shall use my experiences while I was with the Mohawk. I'm sure the rituals are quite similar. That may be, but you must follow along with the drums and my voice. Of course, Chieftain. Let us begin. He started the ceremony, ordered his fellow warriors to beat the drums accordingly, almost like a conductor commanding his own orchestra. The drums went faster and harder as essences lifted. Crane, stop! Stop! Abby suddenly saw Celeste's clear spirit appear above the flames. I see her. Mother! She gave him a warm smile, displaying on how proud she was. You never cease to amaze me, Ichabod. Lieutenant Abigail Mills, Chief Dragato, take care of my son well, and tell Gavin the same. Look after him, and help him fulfill his true fate. As a savior to Sleepy Hollow and an honorable veteran he's known to be. I wish I could hold you in my arms one last time. I know Jeremy and Katrina were once a part of it, but they weren't. Now only you can pass it on. They saw her for a brief moment, then she disappeared. Ichabod just sulked and was too saddened to say anything. Dragato eventually verified. Ruby Wolf is right. You must not let this sacred bond be in vain. I know that you shall prevail. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Take this. It's our offering to you, to keep her spirit alive. Do not use it until you're ready. Onondaga handed him over a small statuette covered in a cloth of silk. The contact felt warm to Ichabod as he held it. Crane, do you want to head back? Yes, I do. It's never too late to say goodbye. Alone at August's cabin, Ichabod started to ignite the fresh logs in the fireplace. Some sparks flew from them as they got caught in the flames. The cabin felt warmer, and the gentle was glow enough to make Ichabod reminisce. He knelt beside it and then made a silent prayer. Mother, I know you can hear me. May you rest in peace, and fare thee well. I know I will see you again soon. Till then, please watch over me and my comrades. I shall thank you for everything, and I'll wait each day to see you again. Goodbye, Mother. As a memento, Dragato gave him a small thin wooden carving that looked very similar to her. Where am I? Kissed the heartwarming object, and as he gazed into the fire once more, he then gradually shed his tears. Lord and Lady Crane from Tim Burton movie gave me the inspiration to write this fic, aside from the series itself. And while I was wrong about Ichabod's dad, who was actually Thomas Crane, by the way, there were some interesting facts I have come across. For example, the real Ichabod Crane, aka Ichabod Bennett Crane, had elders named Steve, who was the grandfather, William, the father, and Abigail Miller Crane, the mother. So yeah, this was a Jossed fic. I think I made it around the same time as I did Dreamscape. Regardless, they're both non-canon. And I hope you sleepyheads will like this short story at least a little. Until next time. Later. Well, I I guess that's it, since Halloween is coming around. Not sure what to do about my next one-shot, which is a test of wills. I'll probably do it around next month, since it's gonna be November anyway. But until then, this is the Ecron Writer signing out. See you later, sleepyheads, and always keep the faith.